Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, dependent on what time of day it is that you'll be seeing this. I thought I'd cover all bases there. I'd firstly like to introduce myself. My name is Kate Stewart, and I am the owner and founder of a small business called StayTray. Before we get into the presentation, I thought I would just give you an understanding of what it is that I'm going to cover today. So I'm going to talk you through the value and benefits of what is known as an LCA, or a life cycle analysis. And prior to doing so, I thought it was probably important to share a little bit about myself and my business and what we stand for and why we saw the value in doing an LCA. So who are we? We are a small business. StayTray is proudly Australian. And we've proudly kept all elements of our reusable drink tray locally. We felt there was an incredible amount of value in doing so, and throughout this presentation, I'll touch on those values and benefits and why we saw the value in doing an LCA. So visually, this is StayTray. StayTray is a reusable drink tray, and it's all about redirecting some of that landfill and waste that would otherwise be redundant into a reusable drink tray and reducing the amount of single use that we see every day through the disposable cardboard or plastic tray. So whether it's transporting drinks or beverages or doing the coffee run drive-through occasion, StayTray is essentially there to support all your needs in a sustainable way. We talk about what we do. So at StayTray, we're obviously wanting to create a product that will change behaviour and wanting to positively impact people's behaviour and choices and increase the usage of the reusable occasion. And so I think this naturally lends itself to a more sustainable more sustainable product and output. When we talk about the LCA assessment impact life cycle, so LCA is life cycle analysis. It's all about assessing a product on its merits, the impact that it has in terms of footprint, so greenhouse gas emissions, water and energy consumptions, and so too the life cycle of that product. Now, it's really important when we look at an LCA that we're not looking at just our product in isolation. It's comparing to something else that's tangible in terms of product on a like-for-like basis. So it will explore the assessment and impact on its total life cycle and compare it to that, in this instance, of a disposable proposition. So I think about where we're at globally with plastics. So we know that plastics have positively impacted our world. There's absolutely no doubt about that. The downside that's associated with plastic and single-use consumption is that it's increasingly impacting our surroundings, the amount of product that's going to landfill, the amount of plastic and redundant material that's ending up in our water, so streams, oceans and alike. And we know also that every piece of plastic that's ever been produced still exists today, which is why when we started on our venture with StayTray, it was a huge consideration to ensure that we could rehome some of that redundant plastic. When we talk about creating social value, economic value and building credibility, the piece that was critical for me was ensuring that we responsibly manage the sourcing of materials and the production, and that everything that we do at StayTray, we do in a really responsible way. And so if I think about each component that we had to consider when producing StayTray, we wanted to make sure that we did it in certified facilities, allowing us to have greater control over the output, and so too the ability to react quickly. And so from a sustainability, it meant that whilst we were innovating, we could also be environmentally conscious. It meant that we were committing to reclaiming plastics, and that was something that we could hand on heart say that we were essentially reducing single use, innovating, but also rehoming some of that redundant plastic. So here's Stay Tray again. So it was, the innovation was motivated to solve some of the huge problems that we have. So it wasn't just about, it wasn't just about creating something that was visually appealing and practical, but it was also about bringing something that was creating manufacturing jobs in Australia, supporting our economic development, promoting prosperity across our communities, to which all have a positive flow-on effect for Australia, whilst reducing the waste in our own environment. So if we look now at the case study and the life cycle analysis, this was conducted by a company called, the parent company called Celerant. The tool in which they use is Ecodex to validate each of those components. And essentially that tool supports the life cycle analysis, and essentially they need to take all components of our business and put it into this scientific tracker in order to be able to give us a really exciting, tangible output. So one of the initial considerations that we had to, and pieces that we needed to provide visibility on, was our operations. So when I talk about keeping everything locally, we do in fact do everything really locally. So we're really proud to say that we're able to keep all of our manufacturing efforts, sourcing of materials within a 50k radius. Now that's everything from tooling, manufacture, warehouse, design, marketing. All of these efforts are done really locally. Now, that's not always the case, but this is a huge consideration for the life cycle analysis. And it meant that naturally our footprint was really small to start with. Had we made the choice to do some of these components, yes, it will have impacted it, but it's still a way of really validating and helping you make choices as to what you can do locally, what you will do locally, understanding that it's not always possible to manage every component locally. In addition to doing everything locally, we also wanted to make sure what efforts could be done locally were also, we were partnering with teams that were also doing, taking a similar local approach. So we started a partnership with a company called Close Loop, who run a program called Made with Simply Cups. We felt that there was a really nice alignment with this brand as they essentially rehomed the disposable coffee cups through a collection scheme. Now that collection scheme essentially meant that we could tap into their excess waste and rehome that in the form of our Stay Tray. So while Stay Tray is proudly made from 100% recycled material, we're also able to incorporate the redundant disposable cup waste into our Stay Tray made with Simply Cups. When we started looking at the life cycle analysis and the challenge that presented itself, we realised really quickly that this was going to be a really nice, tangible way for us to back up our sustainability claims, something that was absolutely critical when connecting with large corporate customers. So the LCA provided us, so Stay Tray, a tangible scientific way and scientific analysis that would support our data for procurement and production managers, of massive corporations, knowing that if they were to adopt or implement stage tray in their environment, they could tangibly ascertain what positive impact that would have on both their sustainability metrics or workspace. The LCA evaluated the environmental impacts at the entire life cycle of a stage tray. And so it looks at the amount of water consumed in production, the amount of material that we were sourcing, the energy consumed in converting that raw material, and so to the manufacturing of stage tray and the finished good. And so what the carbon and general waste was for at each of those stages. So the LCA was able to ascertain, whether it be for a product or a service, what your energy, water, greenhouse gas emissions look like and tangibly quantify that. I think what was critical and what was key is that this validation absolutely supported us in having the credentials to ensure that we had a share of voice with some of those larger corporates. So people that we've been having conversations with for upwards of 2 years, we were then getting cut through to actually start to fuel those conversations and convert those clients that we were essentially in a work in progress stage to the acceptance of implementing stage tray. So I think about when we engage the team to do the EcoDex LCA, we were expecting that it might take months on end to do that work. But in fact, the project was completed in a mere 2 weeks. And it meant that we were then armed with data that validated what we thought we knew about our product, and certainly lent itself to being able to engage those larger businesses and corporates with confidence around the life cycle of our stage tray. Stage tray saw an incredible amount of positively fueled growth post having the LCA. It essentially changed the perception around our business of having not only a great product, but actually lent itself to validating all components of that great product. So whilst we were in long conversations, and I mentioned that we had a number of fluid conversations going, it meant that we were able to step up those conversations and engage the likes of the sustainability teams and individuals in those businesses. So some of the major airlines, some of the major QSR chains, and it meant that we were able to get trials implemented, whereby previously we didn't feel like we had the support to engage those respective individuals within their businesses. In addition to this, the LCA certainly supported us when it came to a share of voice with some of the bigwigs in the awards categories, particularly for packaging industry awards. So post the LCA, we secured a number of awards. We were in 2018 a finalist at the Peter Packaging Awards. 2019 saw us take out a silver award within the beverage category, and this year took out the World Star Packaging Award, which was absolutely phenomenal. The other piece that we found that was really nice, so whilst the LCA is an enormous piece of work and very scientific and heavily data focused, and whilst all of those considerations meant that we were at a point in time provided a PowerPoint document of upwards of 20 or 30 slides, we were really easily able to quantify that and capture the so what, if you like. So with everything that we knew, if all of that or data that pulled out of the LCA, it meant that we were able to capture what that meant on a page. So we could say with confidence that you only needed to reuse stage tray 6 to 8 times to break even on on a greenhouse gas emission, energy and water consumption compared to that of a disposable cardboard tray. So that for me absolutely blew my mind. Going into this, we had thoughts of what it might look like or what it could look like, but this was clear, tangible validation and captured really succinctly. Early on, when we launched Stay Tray, we had a few people question whether there was really a place or a relevance in the market. And I think that this image for me and for a lot of people is that aha moment, that what sticks. So if you think about yourself as an individual consumer, if you're grabbing a coffee for yourself or your peers on the way to work, this is what a tray a day for a year could look like. And now that's just one individual. So if you think about workspaces, whether it be that they're trying to reduce the waste, or whether it is that they're trying to safely improve the service of hot beverages, or they're just trying to reduce their overall footprint, a stay tray is by far a superior proposition in terms of safety, sustainability, and reducing the single use when compared to that visual for one individual in a year. I hope you've really enjoyed what I've shared today, and I hope that you've learnt more about LCA and the life cycle analysis. I know hand on heart how beneficial it can be for your business, and the investment that we made towards an LCA has been absolutely invaluable. Now we've been able to clearly quantify the benefits of having it through cut through with those larger corporations and the conversations, winning awards and essentially playing with the big guys. And so what I thought I'd do is capture at the end of this presentation the case study that Celerant have used. It's just a really interesting way for you to see the broader piece of work in a really nice, clean-cut way, if it were that you or your business were wanting to look into the benefits of a life cycle analysis. And so I thank you for your time. I hope everyone is staying well and stay safe.